Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Soul-Centered CEO Show. I'm so excited to be back this week with another episode and to be joined by my dear friend, Marissa Levin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Haley. So happy to be here.
It's been so fun the last few weeks or months now, I guess, really trying to kind of get to know you and just dive into the richness of your story, of the longevity as an entrepreneur. You've got over 30 years experience. And I really would like to just dive right in and have you share a little bit about your journey, because I think right now you're in this beautiful kind of next level, next iteration, next evolution of yourself and your work in the world, which is always fun. And I know you've been through it, if you will, like through a lot to get to this point, right? As a lot of us do. So, I love how you truly embody what the really the purpose of this show is becoming a soul-centered CEO. Sure. And how you've done that and how you've been able to create this beautiful soul-centered business in life. So if you want to just kind of dive right in, and then I'll probably have a lot of questions along the way. So
sure.
Thank you.
So it's true. I started my first company about 30 years ago, which is crazy, right? I was 24.
Wow.
So I stayed in that up until the 17th year of that business. Wow. So 12 years ago, about 12 and a half years ago, I walked away. I had grown that to about $14 million in revenue. And one of the things that I was most proud of was definitely the culture. We had such a great team of people. We had very little attrition when it was under my leadership, and just the environment that I created, because I was intentional about the safety of the environment that I wanted to create, ended up just being something very magical. So, when I launched my first company, it was because I worked for a man that didn't value me. He didn't value my worth. And that was a lesson that my mom taught me throughout my life, was that you don't let other people determine your value or your worth. And so when I was working for that man, and this is already going back over 30 years ago, there was no LinkedIn, there was no Facebook, there was no online networking. There were very few women leaders and women CEOs that I could really connect with and use and leverage for learning and for mentorship. It just, those communities didn't exist back then. And when I went into my my boss, for my job where I was working, to ask him for a raise, I had been coached and mentored by a neighbor who was an executive at a large telecom company, and he taught me how to really create a business case, right? So, when we go into negotiation, it can't ever be from a place of emotion. It has to be from a place of logic and rational thinking and evidence-based argument, right? So I went in very prepared because I had been mentored by an executive. And so I went in and I really quantified my worth. I said, here's how much you're making on me. You're triple booking me. Here are the clients I brought in. Here's the speed at which I work. Here's the quality of my products. Here's my master's degree program. This is what I'm worth in the marketplace, right? And he came back and he said to me, you'll never be worth more than $35,000 to my company. So it was in that moment that I heard my mom's voice, about not letting anyone determine your worth. And, my undergraduate degree was in English with a concentration in Shakespeare. I had never taken a business course, but I knew that I didn't want to work for someone who didn't value me. And so it was in that moment, Haley, 30 years ago, that I decided to own my outcome and create the life that I wanted to have, not depend on somebody else to create that life for me. And
so powerful at such a young age.
Right. I look back and my first business plan was written on a paper tablecloth at an Italian restaurant. And I knew what I wanted to do in the world at that point in terms of the service that I wanted to provide, the value that I wanted to provide. And it's interesting because it's 30 years later and I still go to the same type of approach when I work with clients. The first thing that I did when I built my first company was I developed a core values system. And it wasn't that I was taught that anywhere. It was just intrinsic to me about what do you believe? What's your moral compass? What's your North Star, right? And from there is how I built my first company. It was based on core values. And, I evolved that company. And, we could do a whole episode about what it's like to start a company based on values and start a company based on your passion and what you love, and how you have to move through an organization to grow it from practitioner to manager to leader, ultimately evolving out, right? I mean, that could be a whole nother show.
Yeah.
But that's basically what my trajectory was. And then 12 years ago, I left that company. That was what I would call a psychological bloodbath, because I was at a place where my core value system no longer aligned with the value system of my largest customer, which was the government at the time. And there were there were personal challenges too.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment, Haley, that I had to decide, do I save my business or do I save my soul? And I decided that I could always build another business, but I only had one soul. And so one of my advisors said to me, you need to just walk away. You need to basically burn the boats. And I was like, but this has been my life for 17 years. This is my identity. This is my brand. This is who I've grown up to be, right? What am I if I'm not this company?
Right. Yep.
And so I listened to him, and I remember him sitting across from me in a conference room table, and he was like, you gotta just walk away.
Yeah.
You can't take any more money from the company. You got to walk away and never look back.
Wow.
And it was one of the hardest things I ever did, but I did. And I started another company before I did that called Successful Culture.
Yep.
And I reinvented. And so, one of the things I've learned about myself is not only am I comfortable with change, but I am really comfortable with rebirth and reemergence. And I believe that throughout our entire lifetime, we are reborn so many times. And here I am at 54.
Doing it again.
I'm about to launch my fifth company, Marissa International. And I know that sounds so bold, it's a little ballsy. I'm bold, it's bold. It's
in a good way.
Right. Does it border on arrogance? I don't know, but I feel that I'm stepping into my greatness based on 30 years of experience, and more importantly, a desire to help 1 billion people truly live their most joyful lives through path, purpose, power, and potential. And I'm going to just take my entire journey up to this point and bottle all of it and apply it to be able to help other people. And, I had a yoga teacher say, 15 years ago, that every stretch is in preparation to go further. And I remember being in that class and thinking about that. And it stayed with me. And every time I go to take a leap, I remember that, because everything that we've been up to this point is literally the beginning of our best life and our best journey.
Yeah. It's so cool to think about that, because I was actually just on another interview earlier talking about the breadcrumbs, right? The experiences that we have to go through, the moments, the heartbreaks, right?
Yeah.
The suffering, all of those things, all the experiences, and how they all weave together into this beautiful tapestry that's brought us to this present moment right here, right now, and have allowed us to become this version of ourselves. And if we continue to answer the call, right? We've talked about this. It feels like it's a calling, to serve. And when you answer that call, sometimes it can be equally exciting and also equally anxiety producing at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. And that's kind of feels like where you are with this, you're being ballsy, you're being brave, right? But you've proven to yourself time and time again that you can do it.
I have. And
it creates a confidence, doesn't it? A certainty that you can do it.
It does. But I think that what's really driving me is to do, to launch Marissa International and these programs like the Self-Worth Rebirth Program and the Power Paradigm, which is stepping into your purpose, ownership, worth, efficacy, and resilience, and creating a community and opportunity for people to face their biggest fears, to look at life both from the perspective of a mirror where they're really self-examining, but also a window where they're seeing the opportunity in front of them.
Right.
I just feel that I have this ability and this opportunity and an obligation really to create a movement of joy. And that's really what I'm focused on. And, it's not a measurable goal. It's what I call a lifetime legacy mission. I made that up in LLM to empower 1 billion people to live their most joyful lives. I'll never be able to measure it. Right. But I know that if my intent is there, I will make an impact in helping to heal this world, right? To alleviate suffering, to help people step into their greatest joy. Yeah. And you're right. Like, I have been in really dark, joyless places. Yeah. Time and time again. And that is not where we are supposed to be.
Right. Amen.
We are supposed to be living joyful lives. And we have everything that we need inside of us to remove the blocks to that. And so I'm excited to hold the hands of the people who are ready to embark on that path and equip them with the strategy and the process and the infrastructure and the community and the mindset to do that work.
Right. And it's such a beautiful mission. And one of the things I love about you is just your willingness to show up, to come alongside, to support, to mentor, to give back. Right. Yeah. And I think, for those of us that no matter where we are on the journey, we always need people that can see us and support us no matter where we are. And I think you have always kind of woven that in, it feels to me like, right? Yes. Around like advisory boards, and you wrote a book about it. Like, it just, that's been part of kind of your MO, right? Your operating procedure has been to help support others in wherever they are in their vision and mission as well, which I think is so beautiful.
Yeah, 100%. I just did an amazing call yesterday with 2 very young entrepreneurs, Yasmina and Greg, and they are part of the Maverick community, which is run by Yannick Silver. Yeah. Right. You know about Maverick, and that's a very important tribe for me. Yeah. And, these 2 young entrepreneurs, they have such a great idea, right? But they don't have the guidance or the experience on how to take their idea, put process around it, really monetize it, create a strong value proposition, step into their potential. And so, I want to see them succeed. And so we had such a great call yesterday. It was such a strong ROH. Like, the way I measure my involvement in things is threefold. ROH is return on heartbeat. ROI is return on impact, and ROE is return on energy, right? And so those 3 things, when I think about who am I investing my time with, who am I investing my energy with, where am I directing all that I can bring to an initiative or a person or a project or experience, I look at ROH, ROI, and ROE to see how they will return energy, impact, and a return on heartbeat.
Yeah, so beautiful. Well, it's such a blessing to have people like you that are willing, right, to share that experience. Because I've often thought, for me, if I can help consolidate suffering, like compress that time that you have to be in sadness or suffering, from an experience that I've had or a teaching, I always love to be able to share those and give it back, right? And I think this, like you said, the young entrepreneurs, like, if they can start out that way and not have to go through 20, 30 years of craziness or heartbreaks and all those things, if we can help them when they're just getting started, like, what a gift, a blessing to set them up for success at such a young age. It's so beautiful.
And I do think that they see a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are young, that are like making bucket loads of money, right? So they're not realizing how difficult it is. And they're not realizing that you actually need strategy.
Yeah.
to build a business. I don't care what business you're in. You need a plan, right? And so it's not just about launching an Instagram account, right? Or launching a TikTok. Like, if you want to build a sustainable business, you've got to have a plan. You have to have a foundation. You have to have process. You have to have infrastructure. You have to have the right people, right? You got to have cash flow. Like, there are things that you absolutely need, and they just don't know. You don't know at 25, right? So, I mean, to be able to help the younger generation coming up is such a gift for me. It's one of the greatest things about having 30 years of experience, that I can now turn around and pull the people behind me to be successful.
Yeah. And I think that's so beautiful, and really the embodiment of what I feel is a soul-centered CEO, one that with the mindset that when we make more, we can give more, we can make a bigger impact, we can do so much, right? When we grow and expand as leaders and in our businesses. And I'm super excited to have you be part of this event that we have coming up. I know that
I'm so excited.
I just feel this like, like the butterflies, like super excited to bring people together that are like-minded with big hearts and big visions, so that is going to be happening right at the new year. What a beautiful way to step into 2022 in a sacred container and space. So we're so excited to have you part of that, and to be able to really share some of these frameworks and these teachings that you've really spent all of these years cultivating. To have that experience and expertise part of it is going to be such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I'm really grateful to be able to do it, talk about our power paradigm, and talk about, how you surround yourself with the right people, and then getting in the hot seat, right? And like literally just whoever's in that room for an hour, fire off, what your business questions are, your business challenges are, and I will do it on the spot, helping you to solve your problems. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. So I just feel like, when one of us rises, we all rise.
Right.
And as we step into this together, it just feels like there's almost nothing we can't do. Like we together as a group, and I think that's where the ideas of these communities and masterminds really have been so powerful and such a blessing, that we don't have to do life alone, and we don't have to do business alone either. And it's so much more fun when we can join forces and come together in this way. So we're thrilled to have you. I'm so excited. And for those of you that are listening that want information, we'll drop the links in here as well. Marissa, I also want to make sure we have your links to Marissa International here, so that they can follow you on this journey as you launch into this next level and next iteration of magic, because it feels so exciting.
Yeah, super excited. I'm going to launch in about 10 days. They can also find information on my other company, Successful Culture. So they can go to successfulculture.com. I'm very active on LinkedIn. They can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. There's a Marissa International page, a Successful Culture page. So lots of ways to get to me and get to the knowledge that I like to impart.
I love it. Wonderful. And like I said, we'll make sure that all those links are here as well. And thank you so much again for your time today. And for all of you that are listening, we appreciate you tuning in, and we're excited to have you join us on the next episode of the Soul Centered CEO Show.